Welcome to Discovering True Health, where our goal is to provide you with cutting-edge health information through research, interviews with experts, and personal journeys to true health. Our message is a message of hope and healing, and our mission is to bring you on a journey to discovering true health, to not only find wellness, but to thrive. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discovering True Health, your weekly deep dive into health and wellness. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on all our upcoming shows. You can also check out additional information on our website, Instagram, or Facebook. All those links are below. So today we're going to be learning about nutrition and weight loss, which are both extremely vital topics for achieving true health. Now, this is from trustforamericashealth.org. The U.S. adult obesity rate is at 42.4%. It's the first time the national rate has passed the 40% mark. And since 2008, it's increased by 26%, and they are calling it an obesity crisis. This is also from the Mayo Clinic.org. Obesity is a complex disease involving an excessive amount of body fat, so it isn't just a cosmetic concern. It's a medical problem that increases the risk of other diseases and health problems, such as heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure, certain cancers, sleep apnea, osteoarthritis, severe CV-19 symptoms, and can diminish overall quality of life. So I have on with me today certified nutrition coach and weight loss expert, Brooke Simonson. She graduated from the Institute of Transformational Nutrition and is owner of the Health Investment, where she does private coaching. And what I really love about Brooke's approach is she helps people make small, gradual tweaks to their nutrition, lifestyle, and outlook so they can drop the extra pounds for good without giving up carbs, without the extreme diet strictness, and without compromising a person's physical and mental health, which I think is so important. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to learn more from you.
I'm so happy to be here, Christy. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Now, Brooke, you've personally experienced the negative effects of excessive body fat, which is what started you on this journey to becoming an expert on it. So before you figured all this out, what were your physical symptoms related to having excessive body fat? And after you got your nutrition and, weight back to a healthy level, what were kind of, the results? Can you give us a before and after of your personal journey?
Yeah, of course. I think it's funny how the twists and turns of life lead you in different paths. But as you mentioned, after college and really throughout the majority of my 20s, there was a lot of stuff kind of happening to me physically. At the time, I was a teacher. I was teaching in New York City. I was teaching high school English, and I never really gained the freshman 15 in college, as people would joke about, but I did gain weight after college. Depending on the day, I would hop on the scale, and I guess at the time I was probably 15 to 20 pounds overweight. And I just also felt really bloated a lot of the time, very tired. I would joke that I was always hangry. I think people can relate if you don't have a snack every 2 hours, or I would joke that I had to be fed like a newborn almost, that if I didn't eat every couple of hours, I would just be really cranky. So I carried actually what I called an emergency apple in my purse at all times. And I just didn't. What?
Keep that blood sugar level.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't really understand why I gained weight. I kind of chalked it up to my profession and aging. And a lot of people around me, were also aging. We all age. And so people were commenting that they felt similarly, just not as good as they once did. And I tried everything. I wasn't settling at the time for how I felt, and I was determined to feel better. So I tried what I think a lot of people can relate to. I exercised a ton. I counted calories at different points. I did different juice cleanses or bought supplements and green powders. I did it all, but unfortunately, nothing I did helped me lose weight and keep it off long term and have the high energy and confidence I craved. So it wasn't until actually I met my now husband in my late 20s that I had a couple of aha moments. The first happened when we were flying across the country. We lived in New York, and then our family's on the West Coast. So we were on a cross-country flight. My TV was broken. I had no books or anything to do, but my husband had brought a book along written by a celebrity fitness trainer named Vinnie Tortorich. And I read the book cover to cover because, again, I was bored, nothing else to do. And he really talks about this NSNG approach, as he calls it, which is no sugars, no grains, for weight loss and optimal health. And that intrigued me. And since I'd tried everything else, I decided to try that. And much to my surprise, after just kind of cutting back on sugars and grains, I dropped the pesky pounds I'd gained, and the bloat around my midsection had disappeared. And I wasn't perpetually tired. I wasn't feeling hangry anymore. So that's when I had my second aha moment, which was that it was 100% possible to still look and feel my best, even though I was aging, even though I was in a career that was stressful at times. And just by making small, gradual nutrition and lifestyle tweaks, I was actually able to lose the weight and look and feel better at 29 than I did at 22. So at that point, I've always really been a researcher. I've loved kind of diving into health topics on my own. And I say I kind of spiraled down a rabbit hole of podcasts and research. And I eventually enrolled in a course to become a certified nutrition coach. And originally, I planned to do nutrition coaching on the side of teaching. But as my passion for health grew, I really didn't want to teach anymore. I was showing up every day, kind of slogging into work. And, kids are great, but I just didn't have the same passion that I once had for teaching English. And I wanted to just do this full time and help other people experience the same results I'd gotten. So when my husband and I decided to move from New York City back to the West Coast to be closer to family, that was kind of the perfect time to do this fresh start and start my own nutrition coaching business. And since then, I've been working with clients one-on-one, but I also started a podcast and I have a monthly membership as well. So I guess, long story short, I would say my goal through everything I do is to get the word out that it's really not helpful to focus on things outside of our control, to focus on what you can control. And there's so much you can do right now to look and feel your best at any age. And you actually don't have to go to any extremes. I mentioned that I had this aha moment about sugar and grains, and that was short-lived. It was kind of more of a low-carb keto lifestyle, if you will, but I didn't want to give up pizza and cookies forever. I didn't want to live a restrictive lifestyle. So part of my research was figuring out, can I sustain the weight loss and can I look and feel my best while including all foods and living the most and getting the most out of life? And my answer was yes. And so I don't restrict anything anymore. And I just love helping people show up as their trimmest, healthiest, most energized, most confident selves while enjoying all foods and really living their best lives.
I love that. So we can still be foodies and enjoy our New York restaurants.
Yes.
Great foods. I'm a foodie but I also like to stay healthy and in shape. So that's exciting to hear.
Yeah.
Your approach to weight loss is holistic, which I love. And you have a principle called the 3A approach. So explain this to us.
Yeah, of course. So it took me about 10 years, as I mentioned, of trial and error and research and coursework to figure out that healthy, sustainable weight loss and weight maintenance boils down to what I call these 3 critical A's: awareness, attitude, and accountability. And really, if someone's listening and they're thinking, I've never been able to be successful at anything in the past, whether it's a diet they've tried or a workout program, probably it's because that thing was missing 1, 2, or all 3 of these critical A's. So I'll get into them each a little bit in detail. So awareness, essentially when trying to figure out what actually works for weight loss and then eventually sustaining your goal weight, when you try to figure things out on your own, you're probably going to come across a lot of nonsense, a lot of BS, because the marketing that companies use is incredible. They spend
So much
millions.
out there. Yeah.
There's so much out there. And add on top of that, now we have our friends trying things on social media and posting that they've done keto and they lost 30 pounds. But when you try to figure things out on your own and you kind of try to piece together an approach by yourself, you end up taking shots in the dark.
Yes.
And you probably end up wasting a lot of money on things like the 10-day sugar detoxes or the juice cleanses. So what I like to tell people is it's important to gain awareness of what actually works. We're talking what's backed by research so that you can ignore all the fads and nonsense and stick to the habits that, again, have been proven through evidence. So awareness is the first one. The second one is attitude. And this is a biggie. A lot of the diets and programs out there just help you change your behaviors, and they're not working on your mindset at the same time. When it comes to losing weight and sustaining your goal weight, obviously your behaviors are super important. But I would actually argue at this point, after working with dozens of clients, that your mindset is the most important. How you think matters most, especially for the sustaining weight loss piece. Anybody can lose weight. Anybody can do some crazy approach and lose 10 pounds in 10 days, whatever these things promise. But what's going to happen next? How are you going to sustain the weight you've lost? Are you going to be able to keep up with those habits? And then how are you thinking? Are you still in the diet mentality of thinking, I ruined my diet, or diet starts Monday, or I'm bad because I ate a bad food? All of these things we tell us and our mindset about nutrition and weight loss are absolutely critical. So we've got awareness, we've got your attitude really matters. And then the third A is accountability. And again, when it comes to nutrition and weight loss, a lot of people turn to Google or Instagram or Pinterest. But if you continue to kind of take those shots in the dark, you may never find the expert guidance, the support, and the accountability that could get you results so much quicker. And research has actually shown that accountability for anything can boost someone's odds of success by up to 95%. So some people are really great at self-accountability and kind of guiding themselves. And that's why I have a membership site now, which is great for the person who says, I really could use help with the awareness. I could use help with the attitude shifts. And I could use some accountability through something like our group coaching calls and our Q&As, but they don't need as high touch support. And then some people really do better and they thrive when they have one-on-one coaching support. And it just kind of comes down to your personality and your lifestyle and, kind of what works best for you. But these 3 A's, like, I cannot scream them louder from the rooftops. You have to be sure that the things you're trying have all 3 of these components, and that's how you'll end up being successful long term.
And it sounds like you really can tailor your whole program has kind of tailor-made parts to it. So, different people can kind of, need different things. So you can kind of tailor it to each person's needs.
Yes, 100%. And I think, again, diet culture tells us that there's this one size fits all approach that works for everyone. And that's just not the case. It's not the case for anything in life.
No, it's not the case for anything in health.
It's not.
Anything in life.
Nutrition and weight loss is no different. So I originally just started out coaching people one-on-one. And then I was thinking, how can I reach more people? So that's why I created the membership. And again, people may try the membership and then decide I actually need more high touch support and then end up working with me one-on-one. But I find it could be a good access point for someone if they think like, I just need the 3 A's and I need some accountability, but maybe not one-on-one support. And people thrive in that as well, just through kind of the group coaching aspect.
Got it. Now you touched on mindset just a minute ago. What are the most important critical mindset shifts that we can all make, or just give us a couple that we could start kind of implementing?
Yeah, I would say there's so many, but a couple of the big ones. First of all, what we're aiming for always is progress, not perfection. So we don't expect ourselves, hopefully, to be perfect again in any other aspect of life. I'm not a perfect wife. I don't have kids yet, but I would say I would never be a perfect mother. But then when we do something like a diet, or we just decide to change our nutrition, we expect that we should be perfect. And that's just not the case. That's unattainable. So when you're trying to always eat 100% on and never cheat on your diet, or all of these words we use, you're not going to be successful. So that's a big one. Another one kind of going along with that, I would say, is to kind of take emotionally charged words and negative words and remove them from our association with food. So instead of thinking good and bad, like carrots are good and hamburgers are bad, or just putting foods into these boxes, think this food is more nutrient dense and this one's less nutrient dense. And then it removes those feelings of shame and guilt from eating quote unquote bad foods. So you're not bad for eating anything. You're not wrong. There's no reason to spiral down a hole of guilt and shame. It's just, if you eat something less nutritious, less nutrient dense, then later on you would want to think, how can I balance that now with something more nutrient dense so I can enjoy, like you said, all of the treats in life as a foodie, as I think so many of us are, and not ever hit that point, kind of going back to the progress versus perfection thing, where you think, oh, I was imperfect, I ruined my diet. And then it's easy to spiral out of control and to binge on all of the things. I mean, I think all of us have done this at some point in life. And it's just, once you get to this space, I can't even tell you how empowering it is to just think, had something less nutritious, gonna have something more nutritious for dinner tonight, and then I'm just gonna move on with my life. And I'm never cheating on my diet, and I'm never a bad person for something that I eat.
Wow, I love that. Yeah, those are powerful, and it's
They
very,
are.
you know,
And that's the part too that can be so tough is, you can hear those things and you can want to adopt those mentalities, but years and years of dieting or doing all of the things, it can be hard to break out of those. Yeah. So I think, again, the behavior changes, boiling a pot of eggs, for example, that can be much easier than undoing all of these thoughts that you've been taught and you've told yourself year after year. So it's very important work, but it's tough. It's challenging.
Yeah, because those are instilled in us, and and it sounds like comes down to really being kind to ourselves and loving ourselves through the process.
Yes.
Not beating
100%.
ourselves up
Yeah.
with the words.
Right. I know. Yeah. Be gentle with yourself. You see so many different mantras posted out there, but one I also like to talk with clients about is, how do you speak to yourself versus how do you speak to a child or a best friend? We're so cruel to ourselves sometimes, and we would never say those things to the people we love most. And we wouldn't want them to say those things to themselves. So it's just really, trying to use that same gentle, kind language with ourselves that we use with the people we love most.
Makes a lot of sense. So are there certain misconceptions that you see that people have around weight loss?
Yes. You're asking all of the award-winning questions. I think the one I see a lot is that exercise is a great way to lose weight. And I'm not saying exercise is bad. Generally, if I say that, somebody will pop into the comments before they're
like 80-20, like nutrition 80, exercise 20.
Yeah, exactly. Exercise is fantastic. It's great for your mental health, your heart health, your overall health, but it's not where you should turn first and foremost if weight loss is your goal. Nutrition is where it's at when it comes to weight loss, and exercise can be a great way to support your weight loss goals. And often, speaking of the mental bonuses of exercise, if you do a workout or even go for a walk outside, you may just feel better about yourself and more like you want to fuel your body with nutrient dense foods. So it can have this kind of snowball effect that can help you feel more motivated to eat better. But a lot of people try to kind of out exercise a bad diet. So and again, that comes with the mindset piece where.
Right. Like I ate that hamburger and now I got to go do
Yep.
2 hours of cardio.
Yeah. And exactly. That's not going to get you anywhere. And again, that's not going to be your best bet. The best thing to do after eating a hamburger and fries is just eat nutrient dense things the next day, and never to associate exercise with the negative thoughts or, that I'm doing this as a form of punishment.
Right.
More what works for my body? What do I enjoy doing? Not that you'll always enjoy exercise, because I don't know any person who does.
Maybe the feeling after exercise you enjoy.
Yes, always. I've never not enjoyed exactly how I felt after exercise. But I think that is a common misconception. I think another one is that weight loss requires some type of pain or misery or restriction, kind of that the process of losing weight has to be terrible. And it doesn't. It's not that, oh, I'm on vacation this summer, and then when fall hits and the kids are back in school, then I'll start doing all the things I have to do to lose weight before Thanksgiving, and it'll be terrible, and I'm just going to suck it up for a month. Really, you can lose weight while you're on vacation, while you're going to birthday parties and weddings and barbecues. I have a free guide called Lose Weight While Loving Life, because I think that's what we should all be doing. We should never be thinking, oh, this is the period of my life that's going to be terrible because I have to lose weight, and then I'll get back to enjoying life again. So yeah, that's a misconception as well. I think that it has to be terrible or painful, because it doesn't.
Yes. And you also have an interesting concept that you talk about, that having better willpower when it comes to weight loss is a terrible strategy. It's kind of along those lines. What do why is that? And what do you recommend instead of that?
Yeah. One of the books I read when I was kind of figuring out my own health stuff in my 20s, I don't even really remember how I got my hands on it. I think it was sent to me as a gift or something, but it was called Willpower Doesn't Work. And that's essentially the premise of the book. It's kind of summed up. There's also a Medium article that the author wrote. If anybody's interested, you can Google Benjamin Hardy, Willpower Doesn't Work, Medium.
Well, I'll link it below. So everybody.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he really explains that willpower is this finite resource, or if you want to think of willpower in other words, self-control or motivation. And when we rely on these things, like having the willpower to avoid ice cream in the freezer, eventually you're going to give in. You can maybe do that for a day, 2 days, maybe a week, but it's going to be tough because willpower is a finite resource. So instead, focus on creating habits, systems, taking actions, focusing less on always feeling motivated to do something or having the willpower to exercise, and instead putting a system in place. Like every Sunday night, I'm going to sit down with my calendar for the week, and I'm going to kind of look at what's coming up in terms of work or school drop-offs or whatever it is. And I'm going to find 3 times that I can block off in my calendar for some type of movement. So maybe it's going outside and going for a walk, or maybe it's doing some type of strength training. So then you're not relying on willpower come Tuesday when you're exhausted, and you're not just hoping that you feel like exercising, but you have a specific time scheduled. You're keeping this meeting with yourself just as you would keep with a boss at work. And you're really putting systems in place that help you stay on track rather than just always waiting to feel motivated or to have self-control. Another action to take could be keeping the most tempting foods outside of your home, and instead thinking those things aren't off limits, but I enjoy indulgences and treats that I love when I'm at the cute coffee shop on the corner, or when I'm going by that ice cream store. and not keeping these things around all the time.
Right.
That
It's not like every night when I sit on my couch, I'm gonna pull that ice cream out. Yeah.
Exactly. Or I'm going to try to have willpower to avoid it. I always say it's funny because we don't go to the store and stock up on a bunch of clothes that we don't want to wear. But we often, when we're grocery shopping, we stock up on a bunch of things that aren't going to help us get closer to our health goals. And then we just we like agonize and traumatize ourselves of trying not to eat those things every single day. And it's this constant battle. So some people get to the point after a lot of mindset work where they're able to keep treats and indulgences in their home and they don't tempt them day to day. Some people do better keeping those things outside of their home. So again, there's not a one size fits all. You're the latter?
Yes, absolutely. I'm like,
yeah.
No, can't have it at my house. I will eat all of it in the first half an hour I get home.
Yeah. And I think, people will sometimes speak about getting to a place with your mindset or intuitive eating where you should feel great having things around all the time. And again, that works for some people, but I know for me, if there's chocolate chips on the counter on a plate, or it's not chocolate chips, chocolate chip cookies, and every time I'm going into the kitchen, I'm seeing them and smelling them, I'm going to want to eat them, and I'm going to. And again, that's not bad, but I would just take a step back and think, this isn't really getting me closer to my goals at this moment. So what could I do? Again, not relying on willpower, but what's an action I could take? Maybe instead of cooking all 12 of the cookie dough balls, I cook 2, and then I put the others in the freezer. And then when I want to make another cookie, I make one. But it's these tiny little things of when something's accessible nonstop. It's, for some of us, tougher to stick with the habits we're wanting to keep. So it's a lot of self-awareness is involved, but that was a long answer for the willpower one.
Yeah, no, I mean, that goes into behavior change as well. And those are some great behavior changes that, we can all make, just make it a little more difficult, or doing it a little, not having it in the house, etc. So let's talk about nutrition. What nutrition mistakes do you find most of your clients are making before they see you? And what are some strategies you recommend?
Yeah, I would say hands down, the biggest one, especially for women, and a lot of women end up working with me, is that we're not eating enough protein. I think maybe bodybuilders kind of co-opted the term protein or protein shakes or protein powders. I don't know. And we kind of associated for a while that that's for them. That's for those swole guys in the gym or something. But really, when you look at the 3 macronutrients, carbs, fat, and protein is the most filling. So when you're not eating enough protein, you're probably feeling kind of snacky all the time. And then some people may even go as far to think that they're addicted to food or they're addicted to snacking. But really, the game-changing shift that my clients make is prioritizing protein at meals and snacks. And then they come to me and they say, Brooke, oh my gosh, it's incredible. I don't feel starving after dinner every night, or I don't feel like I have to snack at 4 p.m. before dinner. And they're just shocked, that they're not kind of craving the sweets and the late night snacks anymore. That's a big one. Along those same lines, I would say, oftentimes clients aren't eating enough. And what I mean by that is when your stomach stretches a bit, you actually boost the hormone that tells you that you're full, and you decrease the hormone that tells you that you're hungry. So this doesn't mean the post-Thanksgiving meal stretch where you're so uncomfortable, but it is important to eat enough volume. And the best way to get volume is through hydration. So like drinking water. I have my water next to me all the time. And also through something like non-starchy vegetables. So eating a lot of leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, radishes, celery, all of the non-starchy vegetables are a great way to get more volume. So you're giving your stomach that gentle stretch, and then again, naturally feeling less hungry and less snacky.
Interesting. So if you're going with the, I would just going to eat little, kind of eat like a bird, eat tiny little bits here and there, you're going to not have that hormone because you're not stretching your stomach enough, and you're going to be more hungry and not feel that full or have that hormone kick in.
Yeah, possibly. Like I would say if somebody's used to, there was, I don't know if it was in the 80s or 90s, we've gotten all these ideas throughout life of, oh, you have to eat every 2 hours and eat tiny bits here and there. If somebody is more of a grazer, that could work too. I would just say really focus on getting protein the majority of the time that you're grazing, even if it's having a snack. If you love pretzels, I love pretzels, but having a few pretzels and then maybe something like some shelled edamame that's high in protein, or like Chomp's beef jerky stick are some of my favorites. So having some protein with a small portion of the pretzels, let's say, could help you feel full. And then you're not just eating right out of the bag, all the pretzels type of thing.
Right.
But something else to try, if somebody's always thought, oh, I have to eat every 2 hours, it could be interesting to try to eat bigger meals. And again, get a bunch of the non-starchy veggies at your meals, protein as well, hydrate, and see if that kind of helps you with that slight stomach stretch. Yeah. And again, it's so much of nutrition and weight loss is just learning your own body. And that's, again, what one size fits all diets can't do for us, because they're just giving us a prescription. They're giving us a list of strict food rules to follow. And we just feel like it's this external thing, and we're always following someone else's rules. And we're never figuring out what works for my unique time constraints, likes, dislikes, lifestyle, culture. It should be so individualized, and that's how you can lose weight without it being awful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that actually makes a lot of sense, because I made that shift to more protein maybe a year or two ago. Because after, I was always, in the mindset of after you work out, you got to eat your carbs, and you got to eat just, so I do like some rice with a little bit of chicken. And then I started shifting to, let's cut back on the rice and maybe just have more chicken. And I noticed a big difference with my hunger level. The more protein I would eat and the less kind of carbs I would eat after, I would feel less hungry.
Yeah, it
definitely made a big difference. I was surprised.
It's incredible. It's this kind of, I don't even know if it's a secret, but I didn't know about it for all of my life, I would say, up until my late 20s. So I think it's a shift that a lot of us can make, especially women, again.
Yes. And why is it important to not eliminate entire food groups, for example, carbs, or give up our cheat foods?
Yeah, I think people who quit their favorite foods, they're typically not able to lose weight and keep it off long term, because when you restrict, you inevitably will someday binge, whether it's next week or next month. And binge doesn't have to be like binge eating disorder where, we're not necessarily talking about that extreme. For some people, yes, it could be more extreme, but it's really just you've restricted something like sugar for a month because you've been doing some detox or something. But then the second that ends, all you want is sugar. And so then likely a couple months from now, you have to go back to that sugar detox because you ate so much sugar that you overcompensated and now you're pulling back. So it's really a cycle that I see, and it's not healthy or productive or sustainable. So I like to say all foods can fit, but all foods can't fit all of the time. So it's important to be honest with yourself and to say, again, is the way I'm eating supportive of my goals right now? Am I eating a lot of nutrient-dense foods that are helping me not only reach my weight loss goal, but also feel energized and confident? And, let's say your favorite foods are chocolate chip cookies and nachos, like me. If you want to lose weight, you're going to have a tough go of it if you're eating nachos and chocolate chip cookies all day, every day. But there's certainly a time and place. And you mentioned earlier the 80-20. Some people, if they have a lot of weight to lose, it may look more like 90-10. But if you're eating nutrient-dense foods the majority of the time, there's definitely room for something like a few nachos here and there, a chocolate chip cookie here and there. And again, I encourage this so you don't end up in that unhealthy binge restrict
Cycle.
cycle. Yeah,
Right.
that's again what leads people to think that weight loss is terrible and awful and that they haven't been successful and there's something wrong with them. But quite the contrary. Quite the contrary. It's usually the diet that has failed you, not the other way around.
Absolutely. And I really love that concept of calling them nutrient dense foods or not. I'm going to definitely implement that.
Yeah, good. I
That
hope.
will help me a lot. I've, my mindset.
Yeah, we all have that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your program, you also work with clients on, since it's holistic, exercise, stress management, and sleep. What mistakes do you see clients making before seeing you? And in those areas, what types of things do you recommend?
Yeah, I think for exercise, again, a big mistake is often clients focusing too much on exercise for weight loss, as we discussed. But I think another one is doing exercises they see other people doing that are trendy at the time. So they think they should be doing those. And it should be individualized. You should have kind of a sit down with yourself and ask, what are some things I can do that I don't hate? And again, I'm not going to say that you love, because before this, I did strength training and I wasn't loving it at the time. I do feel great now, but it's not going to be that you always jump out of bed so excited to do the thing, but maybe list out 3 or so. And again, figure out how can you schedule those things into your calendar. I find that scheduling exercise is the biggest game changer for clients. I know that gyms are maybe not as accessible anymore, or studio classes. Unfortunately, a lot of studios have closed. And talking earlier about accountability, signing up for a class at the gym or something, that used to be a great way for somebody to hold themselves accountable. But with that piece removed, how can you still build in accountability for your exercise? So maybe it's phoning a friend every time you go for a walk, or maybe you and your friend just saying, we're going to exercise 3 times this week. What are the 3 days you're doing it? I'm doing it these 3 days. Just simple things like that can make a world of difference. For stress management and sleep, I would say people have too much stress and they're not sleeping enough. And both can affect your hunger the next day.
Really?
Especially sleep. Yeah. So just one night of poor sleep has been correlated with people eating upwards of 500 extra calories the following day. So yeah, then if you have chronic sleep deprivation and you're not sleeping multiple nights in a row, oftentimes the snacky feeling, the cravings may be stemming from poor sleep, poor quality of sleep, or lack of sleep. So again, it's personalized. You have to figure out for stress management, kind of like exercise, people will talk about massages and yoga and meditation. And then sometimes it's more stressful, all the things that people are saying you have to do to manage your stress. So maybe it's even just saying no to some things and just clearing space in your schedule to read. Or if you enjoy meditation or kind of zoning out, that's fine too. But it doesn't have to be, now I manage my stress, now I'm doing X.
Like a stress management activity.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be an activity. It could just be
of activity.
Yeah, it could be just setting boundaries with coworkers even, or a boss of, I'm not going to be available to email or text back after whatever time you said in the evening, So, and then that may also spiral into you sleeping more, getting to bed earlier. But there are so many different tactics that we see out there for sleep. I think trial and error, again, figuring out what works for you, but taking a really honest look at your sleep habits. And I would say probably binging Netflix until 1 a.m. is not going to be supportive of better sleep.
Or those blue blockers.
Yeah, I know. It's like, we got to figure out, for the biggest thing people can do to sleep better is just to get into bed earlier and to just turn off the devices, which is a challenge for all of us. But, if you really do have this goal of losing weight, keeping it off, feeling better than ever, it's something you have to really, again, consider and be honest with yourself about.
Interesting. Yeah, I had no idea sleep affected, your food cravings or how much you
Mhm.
feel like eating the next day. That's absolutely fascinating.
It is. And I think it's just so empowering the more you know. So if you have a busy week coming up and you know I'm going to be very sleep deprived, then ask yourself again, instead of focusing on things you can't control. So maybe you can't control the big project you have coming up at work. You can control the different food that you have available in your fridge so that when you come home at night and you're feeling extra kind of stressed and anxious and snacky, you have some go-to things you can grab that are more nutrient dense rather than the chips in the cupboard. Or maybe that week you don't even buy the chips in the first place because you know I'm going to be super stressed next week. I'm not going to be sleeping as much. I'm going to be more tempted to eat those. So it's just this constant kind of figuring out the harmony of how can I support myself even at the busiest, most stressful times? How can I do tiny things here and there that will set me up for success?
I love that. Yeah, plan ahead. Don't have
Yeah.
the bad foods available.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Now you do personal VIP coaching, and
I
we
do.
can find you, like we said before, at thehealthinvestment.com, and I'll post that below. So if myself or anyone listening here would like to do private coaching with you, can you walk us through your process and what we could expect?
Yeah, of course. So I do offer a 3-month one-on-one coaching program that's very high touch. Clients book calls with me every 7 to 10 days. During the calls, we always start by celebrating what's going well, and we troubleshoot any current challenges they're having and co-create long and short-term goals. So that's a very critical piece. I'm not going to expect that you overhaul your entire lifestyle or all of your habits overnight. It's really figuring out together what are your goals and what are the small, simple tweaks you can make to your nutrition and your lifestyle and your outlook so that you can achieve those goals and sustain them long term. And after each call, I say I kind of do all of the dirty work for you. I go out there, I find the links and the resources, anything that will make your weight loss journey easier and more enjoyable. I send you all of the personalized links and resources in an email. And then as a one-on-one client, you also get access to my cell. So you can text me with questions or thoughts between calls. And I also have started giving one-on-one clients 12 months free inside the health investment membership community, which is more of kind of the self-paced course. You still get support from me on group coaching calls. I do Q&As every other week. There's a supportive Facebook group that you join. There's a 12-week weight loss challenge that everybody starts with. So as a one-on-one client, the top tier VIP package comes with 12 months free in there. But again, can't take on that many one-on-one clients. So that's why I opened up the membership, and clients still get incredible results inside the membership as well. So all of the information about both is available at thehealthinvestment.com.
Awesome. All right. We'll link that below, guys. So check that out. Now, the other thing that we all know is that science and research around health and nutrition is in constant motion. Have you changed your mind about anything regarding nutrition and weight loss over the years of working with your clients, and also, staying on top of the current research?
Yeah, I love that question because I think one thing that really bothers me in the nutrition and health space is people kind of adopt their beliefs as a sort of religion or a dogma of I'm in this camp, and they're unwilling then to maybe, in light of new research, change their mind. And I think it's so important to always, I would hope that research gets better over the years, right? And we learn more and more. I think that's kind of a natural thing we should all hope for and expect. So one thing I would say I changed my mind about is that you don't have to be extreme in any way. I mentioned that I did initially lose weight by doing a more low carb kind of keto approach. But I figured out pretty quickly that that wasn't going to be sustainable for me. And that's why I ended up figuring out how to enjoy all foods and still maintain the same success. But I think those approaches can work for people. I see people who are doing keto or low carb for years and they seem happy and successful. So I think another thing I've changed my mind about is just that there is no one size fits all approach. And people like to give you their input on things. So if I post, you don't have to go keto, somebody will immediately comment, well, I'm keto and I love it. I'm like, that is awesome. Like, that's so great for you. Then you're not my person, So you got to figure out what works for you. And if nothing's worked in the past and you're ready for a more balanced approach, then that's the type of person I am speaking to.
Absolutely. Yes. And it's all about balance. And like you said, nothing's one size fits all when it comes to everything about health and fitness and diet. Well, I learned so much today. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us. And I'm sure everybody watching learned so much as well. I'm going to post a link, like I said, below to your website for those who'd like to contact you. Do you have any final words for all of us who are wanting to lose some weight and keep it off for good?
I think just that there is actually a magic pill. You may be surprised to hear me say that, but it's not what you think it is. It's not an actual pill. It's not a cleanse. It's just consistency. And if you can stay consistent, then you will be successful. Your success will be inevitable. And the only way to stay consistent is if you adopt habits that work for your unique lifestyle. So the sooner that happens, the sooner you'll be able to look and feel your best and really live life to the fullest. Because as we know, we all have one short time on this earth. And I just think I don't want anybody to live a day without the energy and confidence and health that I know is possible for them.
Yes, I love that. All right, guys. So if you have any questions about today's show, you can reach out on Instagram, Facebook, or our website. And just a reminder, I'm not your doctor, so don't take this as medical advice. If you have any questions about your specific case or your health, please reach out to your practitioner. And all the links we talked about will be below. If you like this video, please like and share it with others. This information could really help someone you may know. Also hit the subscribe button to be sure you don't miss out on our future shows. And stay tuned for the next episode of Discovering True Health.